Have you ever stopped to think about what your clothes are actually saying? Today we're diving into Michael Sartori's book Tense Before Temples to decode that very language. A language that, let's be honest, has gotten incredibly confusing for most of us.
Because it turns out what you wear is basically a language, and it says way more than you probably think.
Okay, so let's start with this quote. I mean, we all get this, right? It's instinctively true. You just know that showing up in a tuxedo to haul couches is, well, it's a terrible idea. You could just picture it, can't you? So awkward. But have you ever really stopped to think about why it's so wrong? It's not just about, getting it dirty.
We are bombarded with messages that totally contradict each other. One minute it's express your authentic self, and the next it's no, you have to dress for the job you want. We're told to be unique, but then watch out because you might be accused of appropriation or reinforcing some stereotype. It's just cultural chaos.
Clothing is basically one of the oldest forms of communication we have. Yeah, a language. It's a language we're all speaking every single day, whether we even realize it or not. It's about way more than just covering up. It's how we signal our role, what we intend to do, and even if we understand what's going on.
All right, so to really get a handle on this language of clothing, we have to go way back. Like, all the way back to the very first story we have about what people wore.
So, let's look at the biblical story of Adam and Eve.
These ancient narratives give us a framework for understanding what our clothes are really up to. And to do that, Sartori gives us 5 lenses. You can think of it like a decoder ring for clothing. We've got modesty, which is about concealing what's valuable, appearance, about transforming what people see, office, which is all about our role, utility, meaning its function, and finally identity, which reflects our core self. Using these lenses, we can start to see all the different and sometimes competing jobs our clothes are trying to do.
All right, let's put this decoder ring to work. We're going to start at the very beginning with the first ever use of clothing, which really centers on those first 2 lenses, modesty and appearance.
So in the biblical story of creation, right before the whole incident in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve didn't need clothes. Their innocence was basically their covering. There was absolutely nothing to hide because shame hadn't entered the picture yet.
Their first crack at clothing? Fig leaves. This was a totally human invention, right? It wasn't planned. It was a reaction, born out of this new feeling of shame. A quick fix, really, for one single purpose.
It's a flimsy, very human attempt to just hide their guilt. But then God provides garments of skin, which is a much more durable covering. It acknowledges the harsh new reality of their world, but it also restores their proper role in it. And this sets up a really crucial principle. The book defines modesty not as being ashamed of something, but as reservation. Think of a beautifully wrapped gift. The wrapping paper signals that whatever's inside is valuable, and it's reserved for a specific person or a specific moment. Clothing conceals in order to reveal what is and what is not available. So this brings us to the lens of office. Certain clothes act like a uniform, right? They're a quick visual symbol that tells everybody your specific role in society. A crown means you're looking at a king. Armor means soldier. And, as we're about to see, a crazy-colored coat can mean you're the chosen one. Okay, take Joseph, a young guy who was his father's clear favorite over his 11 older brothers. That famous coat, it wasn't just a pretty gift. In that culture, it was a loud and clear symbol of his new office as the chosen heir. That one piece of clothing was so powerful, it turned his family upside down and sparked a jealousy that got him sold into slavery. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the idea of utility. Clothing is a tool. Goliath wore all this heavy armor for maximum protection, but it made him slow and clumsy. David, on the other hand, says no thanks to the king's armor. He chose the utility of speed and agility over protection, a strategic trade-off that won him the entire battle.
So, this whole idea of clothing as a language is a theme that shows up again and again in these ancient stories. Clothes are literally used to shape who someone is and to push the plot forward. Okay, a great example of this is the story of Rebecca. So, a servant is sent to find her, and when he does, what does he give her? Jewelry, sure, but also garments. And these are not just some nice presents. They're symbols of a huge life change. The moment she puts them on, she's accepting a totally new identity, a new family, a whole new future as Isaac's wife.
But, like any language, this one can be used for deception too. Just like you can twist your words to tell a lie, you can use clothes to create a false identity and totally manipulate people.
And if you want a masterclass in this, the book says look no further than the life of Jacob. Seriously, his story is like a 3-act play all about deception through clothing. First, he puts on his brother's clothes to trick his own father and steal a blessing. But what goes around comes around, right? Years later, he's the one who gets deceived by a bride's veil and marries the wrong woman. The very same trick he used, it comes back to bite him, and he has to live with the consequences.
Let's circle back to Joseph for a second, because his story just perfectly ties together office and identity. His clothes were constantly changing, from that coat of the heir to the rags of a slave to a prisoner's uniform. His office kept changing, but his core identity as a man of faith and integrity, that stayed constant.
And then, at the very end of his journey, Pharaoh gives Joseph new clothes, the robes of a ruler. And this is the beautiful conclusion to his story. His outward clothing, his office, finally lines up with his true, unwavering identity.
So, how does any of this ancient language apply to us now in our confusing world? Well, this is where that decoder ring with the 5 lenses becomes super practical. By understanding these old patterns, we can actually start to make sense of modern controversies and make more intentional choices for ourselves.
The author points to the recent debates around psychologist Jordan Peterson's, his wild and unconventional suits. A pretty prominent fashion critic basically said he's just breaking all the rules of menswear because he doesn't know any better. But the book poses a totally different theory. What if it's not ignorance? What if Peterson is deliberately breaking modern fashion rules to speak a different, more ancient language? What if he's using the lens of identity to say something that clashes with the conventional lens of appearance?
And this is not a new idea, by the way. In Shakespeare's play, the character Petruchio shows up to his own wedding wearing the most absurd, mismatched, busted rags you can imagine. He's not just being a slob, he's making a profound point about what actually matters.
See, his insane outfit was a test. Its utility wasn't to look good, it was to act like a mirror. It forced everyone there, especially his bride-to-be, to look past the surface and decide if they valued the man or just the fancy clothes he was supposed to be wearing.
And that's the crucial point right there. Our wardrobe doesn't have to just be a passive reflection of the latest trends. It can be an active tool. By consciously choosing which lens we want to prioritize, modesty, appearance, office, utility, or identity, we can use our clothes to reveal our own character, and sometimes the character of the people around us.
It's all about speaking the right language at the right time. Think about it. An outfit that's perfect for a wedding, one that says celebration and respect, that same outfit says something totally different when you're helping someone move. It screams, I have no idea what's going on and I'm not going to be very helpful.
This brings us to the final essential takeaway from all this. After looking at ancient patterns and modern screw-ups, the most important question we can ask about our clothes isn't the most obvious one.
Are they for you? Are they for your boss? For a potential partner? For the culture? Answering this question clarifies everything. It forces you to decide if your main goal is appearance or utility or communicating your office. Once you can honestly answer, who are my clothes for? You can finally start to dress with real purpose and intention.